If you're a gun voter in Florida's 1st Congressional District, you got a choice to make in the upcoming August 20 Republican Party primary. Congressman Matt Gaetz versus challenger Aaron Dimmock. Who's going to fight for your gun rights in the United States Congress? Stay tuned, guys. We're breaking this race down for you right now. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with the American Firearms Association. The August primary is almost here, and in the 1st Congressional, we're getting a lot of questions from gun voters about this matchup between Congressman Gaetz and his challenger, Aaron Dimmock. There's a lot of national attention and national eyes on this race right now, and we probably all know why. I mean, number one, Matt Gaetz is the #1 defender of President Trump in Congress today. And number two, it was Congressman Gaetz who ousted Kevin McCarthy, Rhino Kevin McCarthy, as Speaker of the House. Once he was ousted as Speaker, McCarthy resigned from Congress in humiliation. He left the building, and now he's on his revenge tour targeting people like Congressman Gaetz who ousted him as the Speaker. So there's a lot of national issues at play here, but for our purposes today, we're talking about where the candidates stand on your Second Amendment rights. And the question that you've asked us is not who says they're pro-gun, because it's Florida in a Republican Party primary. Everyone's pro-gun, everyone's a hero, everyone's a champion, everyone's a fighter, everyone's going to take it to the radical left in Tallahassee or in Congress. And as we all know, that almost never happens. Most of the time, they're do-nothing chumps, and sometimes they join forces with the enemy. Right now, for example, in Congress, Joe Biden's #1 gun control agenda, universal background checks, it's a gun registry for Americans. It's got 200 plus co-sponsors, and it's sponsored not by AOC or Nancy Pelosi or Cory Bush, but by Republican, pro-gun Republican, heavy sarcasm included, Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania. So it's critical as gun voters these days that we do not trust candidates at face value. You cannot trust their social media posts. You can't trust their campaign speeches. We have to vet their actions and vet their deeds. And that's the purpose of this video today. We're going to give you guys bill numbers. We're going to give you guys details, social media posts, so you know how these candidates have stood in the past when it comes to your gun rights to make your own most informed decision. We're going to begin with Congressman Matt Gaetz. Now, for those who don't know, who might be new to the area, new to Florida, for example, Congressman Gaetz, before he was Congressman Gaetz, was State Representative Matt Gaetz. And in that capacity, back up 12 years ago now, 2012, we just had the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin situation. All of the national press, all of the national lefty organizations have descended upon Tallahassee. They're camped out in the state capitol outside of Chairman Matt Gaetz's office, demanding that the chairman of the committee take up this bill to repeal or significantly weaken Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Most state reps, whether it's Florida or anywhere else in the country, frankly, would not be able to withstand that pressure. Jesse Jackson knocking on your door, Al Sharpton knocking on your door, the national media knocking on your door. Most chairmen of most red state assemblies would collapse under the pressure and give in. Matt Gaetz did not. He said, hell no, we're keeping Stand Your Ground law just like it is. We did, and we still have it to this very day. That was what he did way back when as a state rep in Tallahassee. But in my experience, most of the time when a candidate gets elected, the longer they're in office, the worse they get, right? The more moderate they get, the more rhino-ish they become. But that's not been the case with Congressman Matt Gaetz. Fast forward to right now, present day. Today in Congress, Matt Gaetz is the lead sponsor on House H.R. 374. This is his bill to abolish the ATF. The ATF, I mean, maybe 30 years ago, there was some legitimate function that they did. Maybe, I doubt it. But these days, everyone knows they're only the shock troops of Joe Biden and his war against his political opponents. That's all they are. That's all they've done. These days, they're a threat to gun owners and innocent puppies everywhere. They cannot be reformed, can't be fixed, can't be modified. They have to be done away with and abolished. And it's Matt Gaetz who is the lead sponsor of that bill in Congress. Don't trust me. Look it up for yourself. It's H.R. 374. He's also the leading co-sponsor right now on H.R. 450. This is a bill to repeal the National Firearms Act. If you're a gun owner, you know what the NFA is. And the NFA these days has become, it's not really a law anymore, it's more of an expandable suitcase. So anytime the president, in this case Joe Biden, wants to attack our gun rights and he can't get a thing passed in Congress, he bypasses Congress, he declares an accessory illegal, like say pistol braces, and he unzips the NFA, opens up the lid, crams pistol braces in there, slams it shut, and he tells the ATF, now go regulate that like a machine gun. It happened with bump stocks. It happened with pistol braces. It happened just a couple weeks ago when Biden redefined what a firearms dealer is. The NFA has become the vehicle used by the radical left to bypass the Congress and attack our gun rights. It has to be repealed. Matt Gaetz agrees. He's a leading co-sponsor on that bill. Of course, back up 2 years ago, when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, Joe Biden was hell-bent on passing gun control in Congress, and they did pass a bunch of gun control bills through the House. And sadly, each time this happened, we saw Republicans cross over the party line and vote with Pelosi and the Democrats to advance gun control. That never happened in the case of Congressman Matt Gaetz. The first example was the AR-15 ban. It's H.R. 1808. You can look it up for yourself. A bunch of crossover support. It was bad stuff. It would make it a felony crime to buy an AR-15 or similar firearm, to buy a 30-round magazine. It was complete tyranny. Matt Gaetz is a no and a hell no on H.R. 1808. Same thing for national red flag law. Of course, we know all about red flag laws in Florida. This is a national red flag law, and as you guys probably all know, it allows almost anybody to call you in and say, you might be dangerous. You know, maybe it's an angry ex-spouse, right? Or a vengeful coworker, or a liberal college professor down the road from you. They call you in, you might be dangerous. And if the court agrees, and let's be honest, they basically always agree with these petitions, they rubber stamp that seizure order, and your guns are gone. No indictment, no arrest, no conviction, no due process, just your guns are gone. Maybe you get them back later, maybe you don't, but before you've ever done anything wrong or been convicted of it, your guns are gone. H.R. 2377 was the bill, had a lot of Republican support. Matt Gaetz is a resounding hell no on that bill as well. The same thing on Pelosi's other agenda item, universal background checks. It's the National Gun Registry bill. That's the one that's being pushed by the Republicans right now in Pennsylvania. 2 years ago, it was called H.R. 8. About a dozen members of the Republican side crossed over on that. Matt Gaetz led the fight against that bill. Great showing from Congressman Gaetz. So every single time the Democrats have control, Matt Gaetz is a loud no and leads the floor fight to argue against these bills. Now in the majority, he's sponsoring pro-gun bills, 100% pro-gun actions when it comes to bills and Congressman Matt Gaetz. And as everyone knows now, what's most enjoyable perhaps about watching Congressman Gaetz in Congress is the way he ruthlessly goes after little petty tyrants like ATF Director Steve Dettelbach. Right, here's the guy, right, who's the head of the ATF, who can't identify what an assault weapon is. Can't identify what's a pistol brace, what's a bump stock, what's a butt stock. He doesn't know anything except that he wants to use his manpower to attack law-abiding gun owners in this country. A lot of folks like to complain about that, like to bellyache about that, but it's been Congressman Gaetz who has called for the ouster, the firing of Stephen Dettelbach as ATF director. When Trump wins in November, that will very likely happen because of the work of Congressman Matt Gaetz. And again, the only reason why we're here at all right now with this primary is because it was Matt Gaetz who dethroned Kevin McCarthy. And these days in Congress, you can know a lot about a person simply based on who hates them, who doesn't like them. And so for Kevin McCarthy to not like Matt Gaetz, it's a good testimony to what he has done to fight for our gun rights in Congress. And again, going all the way back to his days in Tallahassee, that's the recap on Congressman Matt Gaetz. Now, when it comes to Aaron Dimmock, I got to tell you, our research team had a heck of a good time prepping for this video because here's a guy who a year ago didn't even live in Florida. In fact, when he announced his run for Congress, when he announced the primary against Matt Gaetz, his location on his X profile was Jefferson City, Missouri. And so he parachutes into Florida for one reason, right? To take Kevin McCarthy's money and primary Congressman Gaetz. So we're looking at his record, like, has he done anything to actually defend the Second Amendment in state office, county office, any kind of office? No, never been in office. He had a military career. And from there, he moves into becoming a diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI coach for corporate America. So every time you walk out your front door in June, for example, and you go to, anywhere, and you see corporate America trying to ram their lefty agenda down your throat, especially in the month of June, it's because they have DEI soy boy coaches like Dimmock here telling them this is how you should be more inclusive in this country. DEI, if you're looking for a word picture of what it means to be pro-DEI, think of the female Secret Service agent at the debate stage or at the rally stage with President Trump. He's been shot in the head. And they're sitting there saying, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? She's trying to reholster her gun 14 times. That's what happens when the head of the Secret Service announces her goal of a 30% increase in DEI hires. It destroys everything it touches. And this guy has been a DEI coach. You can find it on YouTube right now, this very moment, for the last couple of years since leaving the military. It's an embarrassment. And again, don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. There's a killer website out there. Memorize this, and when you get a chance, look it up. It's right here. It's AaronDimmockForCongress.com. I don't think that Aaron made this website. Just want to get that said. But AaronDimmockForCongress.com, it gives dozens and dozens of screenshots and examples, press releases and articles about Aaron Dimmock's post-military career as a DEI inclusion coach. It's horrible. It'll make you gag. Same thing for his support for Black Lives Matter. His social media profiles are jammed with all of his statements supporting the BLM movement. Everyone remembers just a couple of years ago when the BLM and Antifa rioters, they were rioting, burning, shooting, and murdering their way across basically every big city in America in the mostly peaceful protests of that time. Anybody who cared about law and order, decency, basic respect for other people, not burning down buildings, realized that it was bad stuff. It was terrible stuff that tore at the fabric of our nation. And Aaron Dimmock is all over social media at that time praising this movement, standing with this movement. Again, don't trust me. Look it up for yourself at AaronDimmockForCongress.com. All the screenshots are right there. You're probably asking yourself by now, why are we even in this position again? Why are we having this conversation? It's for one reason, because Kevin McCarthy is pouring millions of dollars, either directly or indirectly, into this campaign to go after Matt Gaetz for attacking him and ousting him as Speaker of the House. Matt Gaetz did the right thing there because everyone knows Kevin McCarthy was the biggest rhino who did nothing to fight for gun rights when he had the gavel in Washington, D.C. Guys, that's the recap here. If you see Matt Gaetz, thank him for an entire career in politics fighting for your gun rights. Again, both here in Tallahassee and in Washington, D.C. Thank him for that. And if you see Aaron Dimmock, I would ask this guy, number one, how do you like the weather since you just moved to Florida about a year ago right now? But more importantly, I'd ask him, with your history of supporting BLM movement stuff and DEI, what have you ever done to give me, as a gun voter, a reason to believe that you will fight to defend my gun rights in Congress? Guys, ask him a question and see what he has to say. That's our recap in this race, folks. Do me a favor, whether you're watching it on X, Facebook, YouTube, our website, be sure and share it online. Make sure everyone has the facts on where these two candidates stand when it comes to your gun rights. And to get more involved today, guys, go to joinafa.org.